Welcome to a Farming Simulator 19 map tour with me, MrSealyp. We are on HAGENSTEDT. This is a map by Vanquish081 for Farming Simulator 19. I'm not putting first look map tours on some of the map reviews I'm doing lately because it's technically not a first look. Not for me anyway. It might be for you guys if you're new to the game, new to the franchise. I did a first look map tour on this when it was on FS19. But we're going to have another look around again because obviously with the new changes to the game, that's why I'm doing the reviews on 19, because things have changed because of placeables and the different crop types and animals and all those kind of things. Things are different. So we start off at the main farm. If we go into our map, we are pretty much right in the middle here. If we zoom out, pretty much right in the middle of the map. Now the map runs from south to north. It's higher on the southern side or end, running down in elevation towards the river at the northern part of the map. There's a lot to get round. I may skip a couple of bits, but whenever I get to somewhere new, I'll show you where I am, where we've been, that kind of thing. That makes a little bit more sense. What do we start with on the map? Well, I'm on new farmer mode, and we start with, let's just click on that, this little plot here. Now this has got our main farm. It's got a few grassy areas around here, and we start with fields 15 and 16, which are fairly small, but like with most maps, you need to start with something so you can get the ball rolling. As far as field prices go, 200,000. We've got some smaller ones, field 35, 80,000. I think one of the smallest ones is field 9 up here, tiny little field for 36. But we've got something interesting on here. We have this situation where normally you buy up plots, but as you can see, if I click on these, it's pretty much doing the fields, not much else round them. If I click up out the way, you can buy up each pretty much quarter of the map, but it's not cheap. That one there is 6,197,000. This one, 9 million. Wow, 115. So yeah, the plots don't kind of extend further out more than the field really. To buy up all the rest can get a little bit pricey. It's an interesting one. This one here, 11,373,000, and this one here, no, don't want to actually click on the plot, 8 million. So to buy up the whole lot, you're going to be looking at a lot of money. It's an interesting development, something a little bit different. I haven't really come across. It happened on Marwell Manor Farm, but Oxygen David changed that because it was a mistake. He didn't want it to be like that. So yeah, interesting one. So field prices do vary. I like to say, on the larger fields on the map, 801,000 for field 1, 909,000 for field 40, but they vary from very, very small all the way up. With a fair bit of land in between, but like I say, you can't do a lot with it unless you can afford to pay those prices. So we start our main farmhouse, which is just here. Lovely building. I'm starting to wonder whether or not my eyesight's improving or something, because this is, like I said on Oakfield's first look or map tour, the colours seem a lot more vibrant to me. Now it is 19, so it's crisper, the graphics are a bit sharper, that kind of thing. I know not everyone agrees with that, but it does seem to be to me. Now this being your main farmhouse, this is the place where you can sleep. However, when you go to the front door, nothing happens. I went all the way around this, and what it actually turns out is, if you want to sleep through the night, you've got a little deck chair here. Come up to the deck chair, press L3. Obviously I'm not tired at the moment, but that's where you can skip time, sleep through the night if you want to, on that deck chair, not in the building itself. That threw me a little bit. Right, we're going to head down into the main yard. So we're heading west now, down through this little gap. We'll have a look at the machinery we start with, or everything we start with. I'll have a quick talk about slot count, and then we'll whiz round and start having a look around the map. Now, we've got all this equipment here. Very, very nice indeed. Let's have a quick look in here under garage. I'm going to scroll right the way back across here. Funny how that left that from the previous kind of look at this. Now we start with the Case Puma 185 CVX, a Fendt 716 Vario. We've got a John Deere T560, Agroliner trailer, header for the 560, Agromash plough, Amazon cultivator. We've got seeder and front seed tank, header trailer, weights. We start off with, interestingly, we've got a main silo and 2 extensions, so we've got a 400,000 litre capacity at the main farm, and because these are linked together, it's that odd thing down there. It says at the bottom left the silos take wheat, barley, canola, corn, oats, sunflower and soybean. They also take potatoes, sugar beet and sugar cane. I checked it with a trailer, so we have got a few options. We've got a large farm garage, some sheds, and then we've also got, which a lot of maps aren't starting with at the moment, we've got herbicide point, seed point, liquid fertiliser and fertiliser point. And we've also got next to our main farmhouse a little guest house, which I just thought was going to be kind of part of the map. But these are all available within the map as placeables. If I go to decoration and scroll across, we have got the guest house under placeables, as we have got some fences as well. There's a lot of these wooden fences about. We have got under farmhouses, the main farmhouse, 240 grand though. Now this is where things also get very interesting. That's your seed refill point, fertiliser point, liquid fertiliser, and the herbicide one is over here. I can't find the water refill point anywhere. I've been all over the place, had a bit of a whiz round and a check. There's a fuel refill point there. I tried in one of the rivers and it wouldn't let me, so that's got me stumped at the moment. But here's the thing. When you start on new farmer mode, what people will often do is come onto new farmer, you've got your building sheds and you own a couple of fields. People will sell off a lot of the machinery to improve their slot count and then start with the machinery they want. Well, what Vanquish has done, Vanquish 081 has done, to kind of put the kibosh on that, and I'm assuming this is on purpose. If we go across to our vehicles, you probably noticed on the previous screen, they are all seriously owned. Look at that, 2,890 days. What's that? 500,554.1 hours, and it's only worth 250. So if we go back to that menu, you'll see what I mean. Let's go to our garage. All of these things, if you look at the days they've been owned, the tractor, 2,590 days, 1,900 days, 2,190 days, and look at what they're worth. Nothing. So, kind of very cleverly, if you start on new farmer, this is the equipment you start with, but if you sell it, you're going to make nothing. You really will not make hardly any money at all. That being said, you probably are going to want to, which is an odd one, because to me that's going to send you down the route of starting on Farm Manager. It's an odd one. Slot count 354 of 1,299. That's incredible. For a new farmer, with all that stuff you start with, 354. If you start on Farm Manager with nothing, it's only 174 slots out of 1,299. That gives you a lot of scope and a lot of leeway to do things. It really does. So that's that out of the way. Very peculiar one. I haven't really come across that before. So if you do start on Farm Manager, you don't have any of this. You don't have the silos. You don't have the barns here. That one you do, because that's a sell point. You don't have these sheds. You don't have the refill points. You don't have the main farmhouse. You don't have the guest house. It all goes nothing. This is all just blank. So let's get round the map. We're going to do a weird kind of spirally loop thing round. You'll see. Might as well put the weight on as it's in the way. We are going to start off here, kind of head north and then spiral round. I'll explain as we go. So we're going to head north out of the main farmyard. Something else worth noting as we come out of here, because I think, I'm actually not too sure what our two fields start with, but in this barn here, there's a cotton harvester. Now that's not under your owned items, that's leased. So please be aware, if you start a new farmer, that's sitting there in that barn. If you're wondering why every night you keep getting clobbered for leasing fees and you don't know why, there's a cotton harvester sitting in that shed leased. Right, so we're going to head directly south. As we're driving down, I will make my statement. I often do. I'm going to miss something. Just happens. There's a lot to get through. What I love on this map is the architecture. I love the buildings. They're so different from many. I'm trying to think of any other map that's got buildings like this on. Just looks fantastic. Right, so directly north, pretty much from the main farm, we've got the store, shop, machinery shop, whatever you call it. You've got a cash point, and you've got your purchase point, and you've got your customization. Well, that's the customization point. Purchase point is just inside here. Lovely sliding doors. Other than textures and obviously the lighting situation, kind of colour palette, those types of things, not a huge amount has changed. It does seem like I've said this before on other reviews, it's kind of more vibrant. There's not a huge amount of change. I was wondering, and I thought I was going mad, whether or not the map was reversed, but it's not. I looked over the map, I thought, blimey, it's all changed. The biogas plant's in a different place, and it's not. It hasn't. That said, a lot of the sell points have changed. Some of the ones that were here have gone, and you don't start with any animals. That was the other thing I meant to mention. No animals. You've got no animal pens at all at the start. On this map previously on FS17, there were pre-positioned animal points. Those points are still there, but the pens and enclosures aren't. The problem you might have is they probably come under the sections where you've got to buy all of that for like 11 million. So that's not really going to help you very much for placing things, which could be a little bit frustrating. Although I think maybe the cow one came under this one here. So yeah, that's going to be something worth looking at. I don't know whether that's going to change at any point, but anyway, this is your main store. What we're going to do is head down through the little town itself. There is a road, but we're going to kind of head out on a weird loop. We're heading east at the moment. The road just leads down through the town. I'm trying to think where the cars were turning. Is it down this one? It might be down this one. So we go down through the little town, cobbled street. One thing I miss, and I've said this before, I really do miss the gold nuggets. Not because of the money. I know they got rid of them because a lot of people didn't like the whole you can get $1 million for finding them. And I've said this before on First Look Map Tours. It was a fantastic way of going around the map, of finding everything, of seeing everything, of exploring, because you kind of just did. You were going around trying to find all the gold nuggets, and you would go around pretty much... water point. There we go. I was wondering where you can get water from. There's a little fountain there. Yeah, you know, it kind of forced you to go everywhere. Now, you could kind of reinstate it. It could be something you go around and collect, kind of like a treasure hunt. Maybe you win a, you know, if you get them all, you get a new tractor or something, rather than $1 million. I don't know, but it's a good way of getting people out and around the map, you know. I don't know, I just thought I missed it. Right, so, Biogas Plant. We've got 4 fairly large bunker silos, to be fair. Up at the top end, we've got our anaerobic digester. I've tested this, and it's low, and you can tip from trailers into this one. This will take hay, grass, silage, manure and slurry. I got a trailer and I tipped some silage into that, and I also tipped some manure into it, and it will tip directly from a trailer. That's always a nice one. Saves a lot of mucking around if you're having to do it with wheel loaders and things like that, but you can if you want to. You can still do it with wheel loaders, that's up to you. Byproduct would be your digestate, and that's in this tank just here under this pipe. We are currently, we've gone from the main farm into the town north. We've then gone east out of the town up this little track here, and we're at the biogas plant just here. So we're heading up to the kind of the northeast point of the map. We're going to go from here to the restaurant, then we're going to go across the top of the map. So from Biogas Plant. We'll go back out. There are some tweaks, don't get me wrong. There are some things that do seem different to me. I liked this when I kind of looked at it the first time in FS17, and again it was, you know, there are so many maps came out in 17, you just couldn't play all of them. I love the fact that it starts down at the river. I mean, it depends which way you look at it. You either start up on the mountainside and kind of head down, but it's kind of in layers. It's tiered. So you start down the bottom there at the river, and as you go south it goes up in tiers and gets higher and higher, or you start at the top end of the map on the south and you come down lower and lower, but whichever way around you look at it. That's a really cool feature of the map. I like maps that are different, that stand out, you know, for different reasons. Again, not everyone's cup of tea. There are a lot of really steep hills on this map that some of your vehicles will struggle up, especially when you're under load. So here we've got the restaurant. So there's your restaurant sell point. The sell points haven't changed. I did wonder whether or not you'd have like new grills or something like that. They do seem to be like the old, I say clunky. I always, because they've got wide bars, that kind of thing. In my head, I've always had that. They're like a big cattle grid, really, I guess. Anyway, just to the north, there's a little campsite. There's no sell point or anything up there. I say it was a campsite. Is it buildings now? Let's have a look. Oh, you've still got some caravans and tents and things, and then it leads down to the river from here. Right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to drive from here back past the biogas plant, pretty much heading west across the map, but we're going to be going across the top, and I'll see you in a minute when we're heading towards the next sell point. So we're now pretty much on the northern part you can get to, and following alongside the river. There are some new sound effects, I think, kind of picked out. The water sounds a lot louder to me. Could just be me. There's a nice little mill as we pass here. Now, one thing also to point out, which you've probably already noticed as well anyway, all the fields on the map are square or rectangles. And I think they're pretty much all oriented north, south, east, west. I don't think we've got any odd ones at all. No, they are pretty much. Again, I know not everyone likes that. Some people prefer, you know, strangely shaped fields or things that seem. Realistic's the wrong word, because there are places in the world where a lot of the fields are squares and rectangles. That's just the way the land lies, the topography. There aren't a lot of hedges, fences, gates and things in the way on this map. It's very open, which is always a plus, especially if you're going to be using slightly larger machinery. That makes life a lot easier for getting around. Oh, yeah, I've got another water. How did I miss those when I whizzed around earlier? Right, we are now at the ranch sell point. This seems a lot more detailed than I remember it being before. We've got a fuel station, gas station just there, and we've got the ranch sell point just here. So we are now up here. We've come from the restaurant back past the biogas plant, round up the top past the river, and we are now at the ranch. We're going to be heading out to the port, sell point, animal dealership and sawmill. There are plenty of areas on this map, if you look kind of left and right. The fields themselves, where they're placed, most of them are pretty flat. So for buying up plots of land, if you want to place your own farm or you want to put animal pens and stuff, it wouldn't require, in certain areas on the map, a huge amount of landscaping. Which is, you know, that again, that's kind of, I mean, like I say, some of the fields are, you look out that way, that one goes and sweeps up over the side, but some of them are fairly flat. They're not going to require a lot of work. So, heading around towards the port. We've got the port sell point, which is just up this ramp here. I always remember this being quite a steep one. This reminded me a lot of Westbridge Hills. If you're using longer trailers, you find they often come off the ground a little bit when you're using trucks and trailers for selling, but that's the port sell point. And the sawmill, I'm going to cut back round in here. Now this is an odd one. and I don't know if it's just me. Right, here's your lumber sell point, just here. I can't find a wood chip sell point. I did have a look for a hazard marked areas, nothing marked on for wood chips anywhere. I did wonder if it was one of these, but these don't seem to be. These are just all various different aggregates and things that the cranes have kind of dropped. I can't find a wood chip sell point, so I'm not sure about that one. And I did have a look in the main store. If I scroll across the wood chips, where are you? Yeah, wood chips. If we look down there, according to that, there isn't anywhere. There's not even a price for wood chips, which is a bit odd. So yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Oh, that reminds me while I'm looking at Biogas Plant. You do need to own it. Sorry. Biogas Plant, there we go. Yeah, you do need to own it if you're going to use it, and it's 332,000. And I forgot that one. Should have done that while I was over there. Yeah, so you do need to own it if you're going to sell at it, and you still get paid at midnight. Yeah, so no wood chip sell point. Bit of an odd one. Don't know about that. And then if we come around the sides here, we've got our animal dealership. Just here, nothing much really marked on the building other than that. If we come up to the ramp here, we can buy, sell or collect by trailer all of our animal types from here. Fantastic. Right, the only other thing I do miss as well, and it's you know, it's one of those kind of was Sosnovka was one for it. I loved that map, where you could send the trains off and you kind of got paid, and you'd pull the lever and the train would go off, and then you'd get paid when it kind of reached its destination. So you kind of got part payment and the rest of the payment when it was sold at the other end, kind of thing. I liked that. That was a nice feature. I don't know. I saw the trains sitting there at the harbour, and it suddenly reminded me. Right, so we are now heading south again, kind of down the western side of the map. Just over there a little bit is the side of the map, and we're heading towards. I'll get to it. Traffic's fairly slow. Bearing in mind this is only doing 32 miles an hour. They've got to be doing what, 20? So fairly slow. Now we come to, I think this is Transport Company. So we've got Transport Company, part of a railway line which leads off into a tunnel into the kind of mountainside. You can go up the ramp there next to the trains, and this is an odd one. Again, if we look in the store and we go down to Transport Company, which is there, and scroll across, the Transport Company will take your main crop types, sugarcane as well, and it will also take, according to this, grass, hay and straw. But I can't find, so we've gone from the port here south and we're at the Transport Company. I couldn't find the sell point for it. So thanks to the advice of a few different people, and I've never used this feature, and I don't know why I've never used this feature before. If I go to here and then I'm on Transport Company, if I press X, it kind of highlights it for me and shows you where the sell point is, where it's located. Well, according to this, it's there. That's so if you're somewhere else on the map and you're trying to find a location, you can do that, and wallop, it puts that great big green beam of light up into the sky, and you can kind of find it anywhere on the map. So according to that, this is the sell point. There's no hazard marked area, there's no grill or grate, and if you come around the top here, there's not one up here either. So it's definitely showing it as just over there. Don't know, it's a bit of an odd one, that. I thought it'd be cool if you could tip into the, because it's right here, drive up and tip into the trains. So yeah, don't know about that one, bit of an odd one, but that's where the Transport Company sell point is. Right, what we're going to do now is I'm going to head out from here. Field 10, if you look in the bottom left hand corner, Field 10 is just here. We're going to go round the side of Field 10. There's a little road that runs up, and there's just over in the distance there's a road that runs up to the kind of next tier up. back up towards the tier that the main farm's on. We're going to head that way over towards the next sell point, which is from here, like I say, field 10 up that sweeping hillside. And we're going to be heading out towards the central grain elevator, which is just here. There are lots of fields across the southern part of the map. There's no sell points out that way, but you'll kind of get the gist, the feel of the land as we kind of drive that way anyway. That's kind of the point, as well as when you do kind of a first look map tour. It's not just about touring the map, it's about showing hopefully where sell points are. When you've got animal pens and that kind of things, where the, you know, it always used to be on 17 as well, where the feed points are, where the straw goes, all those kind of things. And also just driving around, giving people a feel for the map, the kind of lay of the land, the style and the kind of ambience that the map maker's gone for, and it can give you a really nice feel for it. Some people will watch it and think, no, you know what, it's not for me. Other people will think straight away, love it, that's fantastic. Like I say, this one hasn't changed hugely from its predecessor. There are some changes, absolutely, and it's still quite incredible to me that a map this size, and it's still, to me, it's got a lot of detail on it. That's what I said about steep hills. There are quite a few steep hills. You imagine now having a trailer on the back of that loaded up, you're going to struggle. You're going to need some slightly higher horsepower vehicles probably, or you're going to end up at like 3 miles an hour and just plodding up the hill, which is a nice way to enjoy the scenery. Lost my thread. Couldn't entirely. Oh yeah, this one runs at about 151 megabyte download, I think, and the slot count being as low as it is for the size of map. But then there's a lot of areas to this where you've got a lot of undulations, you've got a lot of level changes, you've got a lot of scenery, there's trees all over the place, but it's not littered with fences and hedges and that kind of stuff. It's not tight and narrow and confined, compared to Oakfield yesterday, which is 500 and something megabytes. So, you know, there's quite a difference in the styles of the map. So this is where, if I remember correctly, was the sheep enclosures maybe. So you've got this little bit here. There's a nice big open area if you wanted to put animals down, but like I said, this I think comes under one of those sections. Pretty sure it does. Yeah, oh no, actually you might be just inside. If you buy that little plot there for 213,000, you'll get this bit here. Not necessarily the road, but you will get this bit here. That's actually not too bad. So if you did want to use it as a placeable area, you absolutely could. Right, continuing on to the central grain elevator. There are little tracks and roadways that crisscross this map all over the place. Again, way too much for me to show you all in one go. You'd have to do a bit of exploring. This is a massive and imposing building. Absolutely huge. So this is the central grain elevator. HAGENSTEDT mill. And sell point is just through here. Another cash point. Loads of cash points dotted about on this map. Here's your sell point. Just under here. We are going to continue eastward. Another road leading up to the field there. And another elevation change, so you're going up another level up onto the next bit up. Here we've got the spinnery sell point, just here. And then continuing, I'm going to go on this way, drive across someone's lawn. These are kind of all in one, pretty much in one place actually. from one place. We've still got to drive between them. But we've got the vegetable warehouse coming up, which is another one of the sell points. Vegetable warehouse is another interesting one. It's kind of like a garden centre, which is quite cool. And the sell point is just over here. But this one, weirdly, if we go right down to the bottom, vegetable warehouse, the only thing the vegetable warehouse takes, according to this, is not vegetables, which is odd. I suppose being a warehouse, I don't know, is manure and slurry, which is a peculiar one. I don't know whether they produce vegetables, so they need the manure and slurry for the vegetables to grow them, maybe. That might be the kind of route they're going down. But that's all it takes at this sell point here. So, from here, let me think, where do we need to go now? Sorry, I'm bouncing backwards and forwards between that. So we have now done the central grain elevator, we've carried on eastward to the spinnery, and we're now at the vegetable warehouse. If we carry on south, we've got a golf course. That's something to go and have a look at and explore, and there's no sell points over that way. But it's worth a look. And I've said this before in other maps. You've got that strange situation, not strange situation, but unless you come over and buy field 42 for some particular reason, or 41, or anything up this top corner, you might find if you start off at your main farm and buy the fields around it, you might go for a slightly larger field. There are parts of a map you might not actually ever go to during your Let's Play. That's again another reason for the gold nugget thing, you know, because you're going to go around and have a look at all the parts of the map. But anyway, yeah, golf course up there. What we're going to do now is head down to this building here. I think we've then covered pretty much everything. We have got a forest, which is this little bit here. I think that's pretty much all the forest there is. There is wood, there are trees dotted around the map, don't get me wrong, but that's kind of more your organised forest, I would call it. Where do I need to go from here? Actually, I think I need to go this way, don't I? Looking at the sat nav at the bottom. And I need to cross the bridge and bung a left. No, can we do it here? Here. Before the bridge, right. Yeah, which is another weird one. Why we couldn't find the wood chip sell point? There is a forest, and you can do some forestry, and there are a few firs dotted around the place. Now, this is probably my biggest quandary. Not quandary, question probably. This is Supreme Milk. Now this was another one of those maps. This was here on FS17, and again I longed for a day where we could, on consoles, take our milk and sell it, you know, at a dairy or a sell point, and how cool that would be. You can't sell your milk here. There's no sell point. Now personally, I think they've missed a trick on that. You've got an entire processing plant, Supreme Milk, which would be the obvious place to bring your milk to, and there's not a sell point here. That's a bit of an odd one. We can sell our milk at a few of the other sell points, but I thought this would have been an obvious place to put in a sell point, wouldn't it? I don't know, it just seems a bit odd. Anyway, there you go. I just thought I'd point out it's a very big building with all this, you know, big expanse of tarmac out front, and you can't actually sell your milk there. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the sell points. Like I say, there's loads more to see. There are lots of fields dotted around all over the place, with an absence of hedges and fences and things. Once you brought the plots up, the ability to plough them between fields and join fields up on certain tiers and layers of the map make life a lot easier, which I think is absolutely fantastic. I think, if I'm right, yeah, we're heading back towards the main farm. Fantastic. Almost like I planned it. So, that's HAGENSTEDT, really. You know, a bit of a whiz round, but we've seen kind of most of the sell points where things are. There's a lot more to explore, a lot more to see. This may well be for you. There's your silos, your main silo and your 2 extensions, 400,000 litre capacity. We are back round to our main yard. That is the farm barn. I don't think I showed you that bit where it says barn right there. That's your barn here, and that stays there even if you start from scratch or farm manager. That will be there even if all the rest of the stuff is gone. I think I mentioned that earlier. There you go. I hope you found this map tool useful and informative in some way, shape or form. If you have, give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, then please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.